This is PWF Empire Live.
It's the best thing going today.
The best insight and analysis on the hottest topics in the world of wrestling happens here. From storylines and news to rumors and reviews, we've got the action covered from bell to bell.
Believe that.
Presented by PWFempire.com with your hosts,
Steven,
Evan Medina, and J-Dub.
do I have everybody's attention now?
The match starts now.
PWF Empire is live. Thank you all for tuning in. This is not Tuesday. This is actually the night of Monday Night Raw, the final show before WrestleMania 32, and we are here on this very special occasion to discuss the build-up, the final sell for a lot of the matches that we are going to see at WrestleMania this Sunday. I am Jay, and tonight I'm joined on the hosting panel by what I would say are hopefully some familiar voices, but you actually have seen them before on such specials as PWF Empire, Anarchy, Let the Games Begin, Family Feud. Our champions here, reigning champions of Family Feud, Dalton and DJ Cass. What's up, guys? How are you feeling? PWF Empire Live tonight.
Doing awesome, Jay. Doing awesome. You know, this is the go-home show to WrestleMania, and while the show might not be great, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to do this, and I'm feeling really good.
Sounds awesome. And we also have DJ Cass.
I'm here.
Okay. So, yeah, guys. I don't even know where to begin. We got a lot of stuff to talk about from Monday Night Raw tonight. Should I get started off the way that WWE started the show, or should I get started with the ending of the show? Because I have a lot of stuff that I want to say about those two separate things. So I don't know which one are you guys going for right now?
Let's go ahead and go with the meat and potatoes of this thing. Let's go with the ending.
Okay, the ending of the show. This was the third segment featuring Roman Reigns and Triple H, and it's kind of funny because the first segment that we saw, I was like, this can't be the end of that. We're definitely going to see these people again later on in the show, right? Then we get to the second segment, and that's a backstage brawl featuring the Dudleys. And even with that, I wasn't satisfied. I was sitting there like, okay, this isn't going to be the end of that. We're definitely going to see these people once again. And then we see them at the end of the show, which I found very funny. They promoted this like the Authority was going to finish the message that they were sending to the WWE Universe. I'm like, shit, you guys were out there talking for like 20 minutes. You didn't say everything that needed to be said then. You had to come back for more, but... yeah, they come back at the end of the show, and there's this big brawl that involves a lot of the members of WWE's roster separating Triple H and Roman Reigns. And I want to ask you guys, was this an effective sell for this match at WrestleMania? Like, are you pumped after seeing that ending segment of Monday Night Raw? Like, damn it, I want to see this match. I have to see this match right now.
No.
Shit, you didn't even have to say no. I knew by that pause and that like, okay, yeah, this isn't gonna end this match.
I mean, the one thing you gotta figure is the fact that, again, they're trying to sell this as their supposed main event, and you're telling me that you're gonna sell it by having 3 segments on Raw. I mean, here's the thing. The problem that I have with the first one, Jay, you just mentioned it. Like, there's no way that they could have the Authority come out, cut that goddamn 15-minute promo. Roman Reigns goes down, and then all of a sudden that's it. And was I the only one thinking that Reigns was going to spear stuff?
Yes, I actually said that that's what I wanted to see happen on the show last week. And WWE, see, they knew it. They knew that people were going to be thinking that was going to happen. There ain't a damn person on this planet that could tell me that was not in their conscience, in the conscience of WWE Creative, because there was this moment where Stephanie and Reigns, they were like right next to each other, and they stared at each other, and WWE wanted us to think that a spear was going to happen right there, but it didn't. So, yeah. I'm sitting here and I got excited for no reason.
Yeah, and like, not to be a cut you off, Dalton, but like, and the thing about the ending segment, the way Raw closed off, I don't see like what really the entire roster has any significance to how this match is going to affect them. Like for all we know, they were just pretty much just doing what Stephanie told them, and I feel so bad for Reigns because as soon as he actually did that dive, that was actually the point where I actually got into the brawl, and unfortunately, it ended 2 minutes later.
You know.
You want?
Oh, sorry.
You want to know why their whole roster was out there? Is because bullshit on WWE's part, and I've said this many times with this feud and a lot of what WWE does. They don't do enough to change the status quo, so what they do is change the aesthetics of a situation. Like, they'll have the announcers talk about when Roman Reigns attacked Triple H a few weeks ago, oh, this is a different Roman Reigns, we've never seen Roman Reigns like this before, when we actually have seen Roman Reigns like that before, manic and crazy and going postal on Triple H. And then tonight, they called the whole roster out there because they're like, we don't want to actually have the action between Triple H and Roman Reigns take it to the next level, so we'll just change the scenery of it. We'll have a whole bunch of people out there and make it look like it's different, make it look like it's a big deal, when at the end of the fucking day, the status quo remains the same. I am not sitting here and saying Roman Reigns, because he did not spear Stephanie, I didn't like what happened on Monday Night Raw. I'm saying because the status fucking quo is the same, I did not like what happened on Monday Night Raw, because there wasn't a damn thing on that show that happened where I was like, okay, well, yeah, I have to see Roman Reigns versus Triple H right now. What they did, it just didn't add up. I said last week that the character of Roman Reigns is still in debt. Here we have the last show before WrestleMania, and his ass is coming up empty-handed. He's coming with his pockets turned out like, and I mean, shit, what do you want me to do? Like, I don't even know now.
When it comes to a lot of these feuds, when you look at the card for WrestleMania and just the whole build-up we've been going through on the road to WrestleMania, one thing I have to keep coming back to, especially with this main event, is that after a certain point, they peak in the amount of interest I have in the feud. They don't seem to add anything. They don't necessarily take it away. But tonight's brawl and 3 segments therein didn't add anything. You know, they didn't change the status quo, as Jay said. You know, you put a different coat of paint on the same old stuff. And then Triple H and Stephanie wonder why we look at you with loathing in our eyes, because you take up a quarter of the damn show with your talking segments. And not to mention, what
and
interest
still need more time.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe that. Oh, look, we need the authority to finish what they said. What?
And
how much time do you need?
Yeah, no, and here's the thing. It's like, when it comes to Stephanie talking, I've said this before, and I will say it again. You give Stephanie all this TV time. We said it. Roman Reigns should have speared Stephanie. That's the problem when you give the person that much mic time, because she doesn't ever get her comeuppance. That's another thing that wasn't different tonight. She didn't get her comeuppance when she was talking.
Yeah, because that's a big thing. Like, we've seen so many interactions between Roman Reigns and Stephanie McMahon, and WWE has put themselves into a position where there's never any get back to that. It's Stephanie says whatever the hell she wants to do, does whatever the hell she wants to do, and then she goes and stands in the corner, like, while all of the shit happens. Like, this character is so protected because nothing can ever happen to her. Shit, I talked about Roman Reigns spearing her, knowing that it wasn't going to happen, knowing that WWE wasn't going to go there. And hell, the only person that has ever tried to get some get back on Stephanie, it was Brie Bella, and shit, we saw how that ended. You know, she got her ass kicked at SummerSlam. I was actually there when that happened. It was a really nice match, but the point still stands. Like, this character of Stephanie, she's just this big ass Godzilla monster that nobody. Well, shit, I think Godzilla got destroyed or something happened. He was at least tamed. I haven't seen the movies, but I know, like, he's not just going around eating people all fucking day. Like, he was tamed. That's the point. But yeah, at this time, we'd like to welcome Evan to the show. Also, we got a full house tonight. I would start singing the theme song, but I don't want to go there.
I could sing one. Like, I could sing a theme song right now.
I know you can, but what's up, Evan? We're talking about Roman Reigns tonight on Monday Night Raw, this final sell for his match with Triple H. Was this what needed to happen to get you excited for this match?
I don't know. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. So I'm feeling that my excitement for this match, as has been said in weeks past, already wasn't as high as I would like it to be. So this didn't make me more excited for it. So it pretty much was like nothing positive, nothing negative. It was kind of just in the middle, you know. So it was all right. I've seen worse, but it definitely wasn't great. It didn't.
Yeah, last year.
Oh yeah, last year definitely. So
Lego my ego with the title.
That was the worst way to finish off a build up to a main event. I mean, this was definitely better than that, no question, but still not awesome.
The thing is, what were you going to say, Josh?
Sorry, Jay, not to mean to cut you off, but it's like, remember when Undertaker and Brock Lesnar brawled the night after Battleground? How that fight actually felt very legit.
This it felt like worlds were colliding. Like it felt like the damn apocalypse. Like that was. Yeah, that was one of my favorite segments I've ever seen in wrestling.
Yeah, like whereas the difference from that one is that this one didn't feel organic. This one just felt again forced to me, because it's like another situation where I feel as if they're trying to get sympathy for the Roman Reigns character by trying to have him get some kind of comeuppance in the end when you have it with a brawl.
Not to mention, what interest does the rest of the locker room have in separating Triple H and Roman Reigns? I mean, we understand that the Usos have teamed with Reigns before, but it still just kind of falls flat in this feud. They don't add anything to the story, really.
Well, with them, they're his cousins, so I could understand that. But
where were they?
It's like,
where were they? Where were they when he was back? When he was getting his butt kicked backstage? That's the terrible family members in my book.
Maybe they were at like catering or something. You never know, or maybe one of them was in the bathroom. Yeah.
Maybe they were trying one of those. Maybe they were trying one of those Burger King hot dogs that the Social Outcasts were advertising a couple weeks back. I don't know, but either way,
that sounds so fucking disgusting.
Right? I mean, like Burger King's already not that. It's already like the worst fast food choice possible, and then you throw a hot dog in. Like, I'm sorry, that just makes it seem worse. Anyway, enough about the fast food. Like, seriously though, yeah, why wouldn't they be involved in that segment when the Dudleys are facing them at WrestleMania anyway? It could have been just an all-out six-man brawl, or at least they would have come to the aid of their cousin and to help fight off the guys they're facing at the pay-per-view on Sunday. I mean, that would make a lot of sense, but again, I guess that's not in the best interest of
I did not even think about that. They actually do have a fucking match with it, so they had extra incentive to be there, and
they had two different reasons to be back there, and neither one of them, I guess, was very appealing to them. But they came out at the end, so they tried. They put a little effort in.
Better late than never. Any more to say on this situation with Roman Reigns and Triple H?
Like I said, I just feel so bad for Reigns because, again, much like last week, he did the stuff that he was supposed to do, but the crowd just crapped on him the entire night.
Nah, see, the problem is WWE has a fundamental misunderstanding of the character of Roman Reigns and who he should be. And even I, as a Roman Reigns fan, sit here and say that based off of what I see, WWE has not done anything to inspire any kind of confidence in me that they understand who this guy is more now than they did a few weeks ago or when he was down in the dumps really with his character. So you can keep making these incremental changes and moving forward inch by inch, but it's simply not enough. And you could say that that's unfair. You could say that you could sue me, call my boss and complain to him, file a report. I mean, what can I do? That it just is what it is. But let's talk about the next segment. We're actually going to move to the beginning of Monday Night Raw.
Thank you.
Shane McMahon and The Undertaker. The Undertaker came out to the ring and basically said that, he's WrestleMania is his. I forget what exactly WrestleMania is his yard. Hell in a Cell is his house, and he's gonna beat Shane McMahon's ass. Shane McMahon came out and he said that your legacy was, killed 2 years ago by Brock Lesnar, and I could just imagine Undertaker in his head going, "Why are you bringing up old shit like smoking from Friday?" But this segment actually got to the point where they were actually brawling with each other. Shane McMahon, he was throwing some punches. But he moved on from there, employed a monitor, and he actually delivered an elbow drop while Undertaker was laid out on the announcer's table from the top rope in the ring. And man, now with this match between the Undertaker and Shane, I did have a lot of problems with the way in which this match was being built up, but they did exactly what they needed to do tonight on Monday Night Raw. They went even further and beyond, and I am so freaking excited for this match and all of the implications that it has right now.
Yep.
So great final sell from them.
Yes.
This is the type of build-up for a go-home show that makes sense and grows the feud and makes it something that you now look more forward to than you did before. And that is exactly what a go-home show should be aiming to do with all of their feuds, especially for WrestleMania, the biggest show of the year. This was not only was it a great way to kick off the night, but it was the best segment of the 3 hours of Raw. And it's kind of scary to think that
it started out the show.
And the first 15 minutes was the best part. The rest of it, whatever. But it was something else. That was a great way to kick things off. I can't say anything else. It was just great.
And what I loved about this is that they actually had a throwback to the Shane McMahon that we all know. Because I think that's what my problem was with the build-up for this. Because they were trying to craft this figure, like this image of Shane McMahon, as if he was some big badass. A guy who a few weeks ago was capable of taking out a few, 4 security guards single-handedly. And it felt like they were trying to make him like an entity on the same level of The Undertaker, and that's not true to the Shane McMahon that we have known for decades. And I think tonight, and especially last week with all of those video packages that they were running, they returned Shane McMahon back to his roots as a daredevil, somebody who's willing to put his body on the line and inflict pain on himself, just with the belief that if he inflicts a little bit more on his opponent, that's going to lead him to victory. That's the type of Shane McMahon that I want to see. And The Undertaker, like when Shane hit him with that elbow and The Undertaker sat up afterwards, I went, holy shit, and I literally squealed. Like, I've seen The Undertaker do that a million times, but there was something amazing about that right there, because what it said was, Shane McMahon, you're going to do all of this, have all of this action, harming yourself, nearly killing yourself, and at the end of the day, I'm still going to get up, because there's just something so otherworldly about The Undertaker. And when those two forces collide, man, oh my God, I cannot wait for this friggin' match.
And outside of that, when Shane returned, and just these two things plus the video packages, that is what's got me excited. The promo in between and some of the other other segments that happened in the other weeks were just useless. But this was as good as it gets to really bring it home and say, this is why this match matters. It's a big money match you can't miss. And that's exactly what they needed to do here. So very good stuff.
Yeah, not only was it very good stuff, but the best thing that they practically did when it came to promoting this match, you can now say that they can bring some of the hardcore fans that have not watched wrestling in years. You can now bring them back into the fold, and that gets them to watch WrestleMania. And that's another thing that I felt they accomplished, because we just saw old school Shane tonight. When you see old school fans seeing that they saw growing up, you bring them back into the fold, and that gets us, as some of the newer fans, get us excited for the match. So that it's kind of like a win-win situation. But yeah, the exchange between Taker and Shane, was exactly the way the crowd said. It was just completely awesome. It felt more like a throwback. And remember how I said the Taker Lesnar brawl felt organic? This also felt organic as well. Like, you could actually feel everything that they said, not just something that they say just to throw out because creative gave them that line.
Yeah, I absolutely have to say that this feud, this brawl, this whole build-up, it's been hit and miss, but tonight was absolutely a hit. This is, as Evan mentioned, you could have used this, probably the starting video package, and left out the rest of the filler in between Vince and Shane and the drama, and this is all you needed to sell me on this. Because now we have confidence, at the very least, that Shane's going to be doing something crazy at WrestleMania. You're bringing back old school Shane, and they've kind of set the bar for themselves pretty high, because who's to say what's going to happen in the Hell in a Cell match? I'm absolutely excited for this match. The elbow drop was awesome, and I'm surprised and proud of Shane McMahon for making the jump, because that's really difficult to do, especially that's a good distance to make.
Yeah, and you kind of have to wonder, with them giving that away on Monday Night Raw, what the hell do they have in store for WrestleMania?
Shane, this is the one thing I just pray to God that Shane does not get hurt, because we've known him for years. I mean, he's about 46 years old, and he's going to be going in that match like he's 30 or younger again. So I just hope that he just doesn't get too carried away. But if he could just jump off from the top of the Hell in a Cell, if he could just hit Undertaker on the table, I'll be fine.
I like how you said if he could just jump from the top of the cell. Like, that shows you how fucking insane Shane McMahon is. That if he could just jump from the top of the cell.
If he could just do that, I'd be good.
I think they must have something pretty crazy planned, though. There's got to be something in mind. Because if they gave us... If they gave us something like this on Raw, they've got to have something ridiculous going here for Sunday. It's going to be something crazy, and that's very exciting. That, again, is another reason for why this match is really exciting. And, Jay, you're obviously going to be able to see it in person, so...
Oh my God! When I was talking about how excited I was for the match earlier, I wasn't even thinking I'm actually going to be there watching this.
Yeah, you are one lucky guy. I mean, you get to see
this.
Oh,
he's a lucky something. He's a lucky something. I'm just not going to say it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, here's the thing. Like the WWE, I earned it, shit, because they put me through some stuff. Like, I'm standing here as a survivor, and damn it, I earned it. So, anything more to say on this one?
Did anybody else get the impression, at least for this evening, that Shane McMahon almost embodied what they're trying to do with Ambrose?
I have internally been thinking that, for a while now. When I was talking earlier, when I said that Shane McMahon is the type of person that he'll inflict pain on himself just to know that he inflicts a little bit more on his opponent, those are some of the same exact things that they've been saying about Dean Ambrose. It's just that they're handling Dean Ambrose in a very different way than they're handling the Shane that we see in this match with The Undertaker. And I'm not necessarily saying that one is better or worse, but it's just they are being kind of promoted as the same type of character that Daredevil, but it's just that with WWE they just slap a different label on it and it's something different. So Shane McMahon, he's a Daredevil, and Dean Ambrose, he's the lunatic.
I feel as if
objectives but different label.
I feel as if when they try to break down the different characters between the two, I think it goes down to more of what Shane is fighting for. Because honestly, if you look at Dean Ambrose, what is he fighting for? A spot? They've actually thoroughly explained what Shane is fighting for. His legacy. He's fighting for the WWE Universe. He's fighting for all this. But as far as we know, as Dean Ambrose and him going on this, all we know is that he's a guy that's crazy and he does crazy stuff and he just goes out and have matches.
Yeah, I guess that's where the difference comes into play, because it's like Shane, he's willing to harm himself for the greater good, and if I get my ass kicked in this match, as long as I win, I'll be hurting. He even said it on Monday Night Raw. He'll drag what's left of his body into the ring the night after WrestleMania just to know that he's saved the business, because he's this great white hope that's being presented on screen. But I guess we could talk about Dean Ambrose now. He had an interesting segment on Monday Night Raw. Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar, they were in the ring, and Dean Ambrose, he comes out with this big-ass bin, and he's just collecting weapons that apparently he's going to be using on Brock Lesnar this Sunday. So, yeah, that was the build-up for that.
I don't know what in the world they were doing. You're telling me that you use two ECW hardcore legends to give Ambrose weapons, but yet you don't come out with a third one? But that just to me.
Is that what you had a problem with?
I had more of a problem with...
you have no idea how much I wanted to see Al Snow just come out with like the head, like give Dean Ambrose the head.
Look, I guarantee you, Al Snow was not like WWE's grand finale with this like, oh God, you know what Dean Ambrose really needs? A mannequin head. That seals the deal. Like that. No.
But still, the thing is, it's just like you go with that for like the last couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden you don't do another one tonight. That just seems like kind of off to me, because then it just kind of feels like everything that these legends have given him, to me, that means that he's not even going to use those weapons come Sunday.
I mean, he was collecting them. It looked like he planned on using them.
That wagon looked like something out of Barney from 1995, so I'm not even buying that.
Well, shit, WWE calls weapons toys now, and Paul Heyman, he dropped it in like a sly way. He basically said that WWE has banned the use of the word weapons, which I find very interesting, because I know there was like a while back, a few years ago, Wrestling Inc., they had a story every damn day. There was like this obsession with WWE banning things. It was like WWE banned gloves, WWE banned chewing gum, WWE banned Shawn Michaels, and people would go fucking nuts over these stories. But in this case, like, I actually had a problem with WWE calling weapons toys even before Paul Heyman said that they were like, the term was officially banned by WWE, because what that does when you call the weapons toys and things like that, it trivializes the violence. It also trivializes the sacrifices that these wrestlers make when they're in the ring, and I don't like stuff like that at all. Like it's such this weird feeling to get when you're sitting there, and shit, it's okay for me to be excited because I am not a part of the product. If I'm watching at home and I see people, knocking the hell out of each other with steel chairs and going crazy with ladders and things, but for someone to be a part of the story, the commentator sitting at ringside and they're bringing out the toys and this is a playground and this is awesome. Like, you don't realize they're in there beating other human beings with foreign objects, like, and you're not outraged by that, or at least a little scared. So I've always found the fact that they don't use the term weapons weird, but that was
it really does make it feel weaker. It makes it feel like what's going on in the ring isn't that impactful. Like, they're just having
less is the impact of it.
Yeah, it just feels like they're having fun. It's playtime, and then they're okay, and then they get up and they smile and they walk off. And it's not like that. But, my biggest problem with this segment would be the fact that Brock Lesnar was there and Dean Ambrose was there, and I felt like there could have been a little extra. I like that Ambrose was collecting the weapons. That was very Ambrose-like. It was like kind of sly, and he just kind of brought out the wagon, threw the weapons, and basically sent a message without needing to make any contact with Lesnar. But I don't know, maybe that's just me. It did kind of feel a little bit underwhelming, and it's like Brock's on Raw, and that he pretty much just stood there and then picked up a kendo stick. So it's kind of like you always want more out of a Brock Lesnar appearance sometimes than you're gonna get. I think that's actually a good thing, though. I'm gonna kind of like counter my own point here and say that I really think that it adds to the appeal of Brock. It makes it like, man, I want more out of that, because then when you do get more, it's that much more exciting to see. It's that much more impactful for when Brock Lesnar just goes off and suplexes everybody and goes nuts. So it's like, I mean, people always say wasted appearance. I've used that term before myself with Brock Lesnar, but I actually think that like having some of his appearances be like that just makes you yearn for the times that he actually does just go off. So his presence still does matter, I think.
And I think this WrestleMania match we're going to see at Ambrose and Lesnar will be one of those times that he goes off. As far as the segment goes, I could have wanted, who wouldn't have wanted a little bit more from Lesnar? But as Evan mentioned, Ambrose bringing the wagon around and collecting all the weapons that were left under the ring was kind of funny. At least I found it a little poetic, because Ambrose is either ballsy enough to ignore Lesnar or ballsy enough to intentionally piss him off to get a better match out of him coming into the main event. But the one thing I actually picked up out of this was that Paul Heyman said that Brock Lesnar was going to perform a public colonoscopy on Dean Ambrose.
Okay.
There you go. Those big words again.
Okay.
You don't want to know what that one is, Cass. You don't want to know.
It's not very pleasant. But this was interesting. It was funny. I could have been better, but who's to say it won't end up being a great match?
Yeah, I think that's one, and this is interesting. Looking at the build-up for WrestleMania, I could say all that I want to about the build-up for the matches and things like that, but I have yet to actually comment on the quality of the matches. I would want to send that message to a lot of folks, because every year we get into this thing where people talk about how the WrestleMania build-up sucks, and folks take that to mean that the people who are saying that the build-up for WrestleMania sucks are saying that the show is going to suck in turn. And those two are not necessarily the same thing. Like, the build-up for Roman Reigns versus Triple H, shit, it was trash. But that does not mean that I'm saying that the match is going to be bad. So, and that's actually a match that I've been wanting to see for years.
2014. That's a match I've wanted to see.
It came at a very weird time. Now, I never thought that it was going to be a world title match, and a world title match at WrestleMania, no less. So, yeah, weird times. What else do we have to talk about on Monday night? I can't believe I skipped the biggest story. Eva Marie's re-debut on the main roster.
Yeah, that's the biggest story.
Yeah, Eva Marie is back. Yeah.
That entire match, like, man, I was ready to just go take a nap. I was just out of it by that point. So this is actually happening on the kickoff show?
Yes.
I assume you'll be going
to get some nachos or something.
I was literally just going to say that.
I'm lying. I'm lying because I watch everything.
I know. Well, again, you're at WrestleMania. Of course, you're gonna watch it. But like, in your head, you're like, yeah, I bet those nachos are real good. You're just running in your head.
Yeah.
You're not even thinking about what's going on. I don't blame you. I wouldn't either.
Yeah. Like, I was thinking about. I was like, Eva Marie. I was like, could this be Eva Marie that comes out in this fifth spot? Nah, it's not gonna be Eva Marie. WWE isn't gonna do this and shit. Sure enough, it is. And my reaction was the same reaction that all of her damn teammates had. They were looking around like, thanks for the help, but I'm not sure. Like, shit, there are like 20 people on Total Divas. One of them could have been in a damn match. Like, Natalya, she has like 50 cats. Put one of them in the match.
I have more confidence that Lana, who has no wrestling experience, would put on a better show than Eva Marie right now.
She had a nice kick tonight, Lana. I have not seen her wrestle, but a nice kick. I forgot who she kicked, but whoever it was, it was nice.
And here's the thing. They put a lot of emphasis on something that they know that nobody's going to care about, and not to mention the fact that they had to slap on Total Divas versus the Bad and Blonde, which is actually a nice name, but still, they had to put Total. Yeah, that's a nice name, but yeah, they had to put Total Divas in, and like, it's just why Eva Marie is beyond me. Seriously, you could have put Carmella. Imagine if they would have put Carmella.
No, I don't want her associated with that trash.
You could have put Carmella. You could have put Alexa Bliss. You could have put Bayley.
Don't even go there. No, the hell they could not have.
How about Nia Jax?
Why would Bayley associate herself with that?
Jay, here's the thing. It would have been a hell of a lot better than what we got right now. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think
the whole match is a damn mess. Like,
yeah, you can't salvage any of that. Like,
I like Bayley and she's amazing, but she ain't that damn good. Like, at the end of the day, she's still human. She can't pull the whole match out of the friggin' grave. Like,
she doesn't deserve to be a part of it because she's too good for it. Way too good for
it. I will forgive me for at least trying to say most of these, because some of them actually deserve better. Some of them actually do deserve better. I'm not gonna lie.
I agree. I
Natalya definitely one of them.
Hell, I would say Naomi. I'm still pissed off that we
I
didn't
agree.
get a
Yes, Naomi
continuation
too.
of that, that like militant Naomi that we saw.
That one-off,
last
1
year.
month thing. Just one-off, just about 2 months of that, and they just completely failed. Just dropped the ball on that one. There are a lot of divas in this match that shouldn't be in it. It just sucks the fact that, again, they're going to the typical 10 diva match. That's just...
What else did we have on this show? We also had Chris Jericho being defeated by Zack Ryder with a roll-up. See, WWE put themselves into a situation where you kind of knew that something like this had to happen because with AJ Styles asking for a match with Chris Jericho and Chris Jericho saying, no, fuck you, I'm not going to give you the privilege of being in the ring with me at WrestleMania. Something had to happen to the point where AJ Styles pissed off Chris Jericho enough for Chris Jericho to say, you know what, screw that, I want to beat your ass at WrestleMania. So something like this was bound to happen, but just even with knowing that, it still didn't make it any easier to see because this is this weird BS that WWE does. It's like, oh, hey, Zack Ryder is in the Intercontinental Championship match and he didn't have any damn credibility beforehand, no legitimacy at all, so we can kind of like kill two birds with one stone. We'll give him a little bit of credibility beating Chris Jericho after the fact that we already put him into the Intercontinental Championship match when last week it was actually a part of the fucking show that this guy was a joke, a jobber, a jabroni. But this week, he's beating Chris Jericho, multiple-time world champion, and this is the way that we get the match with Chris Jericho and AJ.
They have made so many missteps with this feud because here's the thing: it's a feud that we should love, but it hasn't been. Not to mention the fact that as soon as they did the match on Raw for AJ's first match, they just immediately just did the whole feud just in 1 month, had the rubber match at Fastlane, and then all of a sudden they're in an uphill battle to try to continue this feud by having them in a tag team title match instead of just making them the tag team champion versus tag team champion at Mania. You could have had something interesting right there at least for a fourth match, but now you get this. For me, it's like too little too late because... Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. You're telling me that Fandango can't get an upset win over Chris Jericho, but all of a sudden Zack Ryder can just because he's in an important match?
Fandango is the guy that beat him at a previous WrestleMania.
Yeah, exactly.
Not saying that would have been better, Fandango beating Chris Jericho, but still,
Right, but it's still like the point is like the distraction from AJ had no effect on him that night, but tonight suddenly it had an effect on him. Apparently, it's that like because wrestling inconsistency that will happen for really no reason. There's really no explanation for that. At least if you're gonna come up with one, it's probably BS. Either way, Jericho and Styles, it's a feud that has produced some solid wrestling, and I'm sure it will again at WrestleMania, but I'll be honest, the tag team and the breakup part, that was the only part that actually had me kind of a little more interested in it again because I was all set with it. Once they had the rubber match and AJ won, I was like, all right, that's it. Now Styles maybe goes for the IC title. Maybe he goes in a different direction. I don't know. Again, it was hard to say what direction they would go with, but there was a lot of options. Them breaking the tag team up, all right, not too bad. We get heel Jericho, which is good, but it's been very generic. It's like, I'll distract you, you distract me, I'll chase you backstage. We never pick up from where we left off and see where that went backstage. I'm sorry, but that's just very lazy. There wasn't a lot of energy put into this feud, even though this will be a solid match at the show.
Yeah, I have to say, the build-up for this feud, I have to give WWE some small amount of kudos for attempting to do something unconventional by making a team out of Y2J and AJ Styles and then breaking them up a week later. But the entirety, I get they tried something different, it just didn't work out. But
with ugly T-shirts.
The problem here is that
they knew that they weren't going to last long. They didn't have any incentive to make them beautiful.
It's supply and demand.
Just throw something on here.
There's something on there, and the people want to sell them. People want to buy them because they go away so quickly. But the problem I have with the majority of this feud is that while Evan mentioned it, we are going to get a very good match. At least I'm convinced we're going to. A lot of this feud has come at the cost of AJ Styles' credibility because he's come off looking very unintellectual. I mean, you could say he's persistent for attempting to try to distract Jericho a second time, but there was no credible reason why it worked over this week and didn't work last week. So, not to mention, AJ came outside of the ring and there was no announce table to sit at. He just stood awkwardly next to Byron Saxton, which is awkward squared. So,
and AJ did say he was going to sit, and then kind of looked over and was like, "Well, there's nowhere to sit, so I guess I'll stand."
Yeah, and also, doesn't it kind of make Jericho look dumb in the process as well? Because he specifically said tonight that I'm not going to let AJ Styles make a name off me at WrestleMania. I'm not going to give it to him no matter what he does to me. But then all of a sudden it just takes a little taunting from AJ. Then all of a sudden he just wants the match with him now.
I mean, that's the power of getting beat by Zack Ryder. You're like, holy shit, I really need to reevaluate my life. I really need to reevaluate every single statement I've ever made. And in that one moment, he had an epiphany like, yeah, maybe I do need to fight AJ Styles at WrestleMania. I need to redeem myself. So, yeah, that was that. What else do we have on this show? This damn... speaking of Zack Ryder and this Intercontinental Championship
God,
match that he's going to be in, never have I been more bored by a match full of people that I like, and since I was in the match too. So
wait a minute, Jay, you mean to tell me you're not interested in a match that randomly threw 7 people together?
Unbelievably, no.
Well, honestly, it seems like on Raw more and more often over these last couple of years in particular, there's been these matches that sometimes happen. These random 6-man, and there's always a 6-man,
one of them.
And it's always a 6-man tag or a tag match of some sort. And it's just the most boring thing, and it goes on and on and on, and it just seems like
it lasts.
It went 23 minutes.
23 minutes.
That's unbelievable.
23 minutes.
How is WWE and all of the executives, everybody who works backstage, they can't sit there and actually think that this 6-man tag was a good thing, because the crowd is literally chanting for people who don't work there anymore, and random stuff. I at one point I thought they said "Let's go home." Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought I heard them chanting "Let's." I couldn't really tell what it was, but it almost sounded like "Let's go home." I'm like, this is terrible if they're actually saying that, and even if they're not saying that, they're still chanting for CM Punk and RVD, and like it was funny the first time, but but now it's just more of like a, geez, like when these guys do that, wake up, guys, backstage, and realize that this type of stuff is why they're chanting that. It's boring the shit out of them, because when they see something they like, they'll let you know. Because when they saw Shane and Undertaker, they were saying holy shit, and they were just and Taker and Shane were just staring at each other. They hadn't even fought yet. So it's like, if you give us something good, we'll let you know. But if you give us something bad, we'll also let you know. So like this match, it did nothing for the IC title ladder match, which is a recycled BS idea from last year that's boring as hell. The match will still have some fun spots, but like, man, lazy.
Yeah, and
going
plus
back to the whole crowd thing, what really chaps my ass when it comes to stuff like this is the fact that the announcers were all... Those are not big words at all. But yeah, the announcers were all for it. Oh, well, listen, they're chanting for you, Byron, and they're doing this, and the crowd, they're just out there and they're having fun. That's what the WWE Universe is all about. Do you not realize what you're saying when you make a statement like that? That's what the WWE Universe is all about. The WWE Universe is all about them entertaining themselves when we aren't doing an adequate job of entertaining them. Shit, that is basically JBL's sentence translated right there to actually what the implications of saying that are. And the problem is, they sit there and they're like, oh yeah, this is awesome, and look at the crowd, they're having fun. And to people who are watching at home, that does nothing but encourage them. Okay, but when we go to our show, shit, we're going to take over too, and we're going to have fun, and they're going to talk about us. But the problem comes along when the crowd doesn't have to cooperate with you. Like, they don't have to always chant for Byron or chant what you want them to or do the wave or anything like that. Shit, what happens when they start chanting for CM Punk? What happens when they start chanting for RVD, people who aren't even in the company? What happens when they start chanting, this is booty or this is boring and things like that? Shit, then you're sitting there on mute. You can't acknowledge them anymore.
Yeah, you didn't give him a reason. The problem is you didn't give him a reason to care. And honestly, what was to care about that 6-man tag? And like they got bored because not only wasn't a match they did not want to see in the first place, but also because this is the same exact match that they used on the Go Home show for Raw last year for that Intercontinental Ladder match, featuring 2 of the same people in that match. So that's also annoying. But what I absolutely hate about this is the fact that you have Sami Zayn in there, you have Kevin Owens in there on the other side, and this is what they were relegated to since they were in NXT. Like, honestly, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn should be higher than this. Just putting them with these guys that not a lot of people care about just brings their level down. And honestly, throughout this match, I like Kevin Owens, but honestly, I got so annoyed with him. Like, NXT Kevin Owens wouldn't have been doing this. I'm not digging this main roster Owens because it's like, to me, he was just acting like a punk throughout the entire match. He was basically acting like a coward throughout the entire match.
See, the thing is, Kevin Owens gave no fucks about that match. Like,
yeah, he did.
I'm quite sure if he did what he wanted to, hell, he probably would have joined the crowd and, you know, went and sat in the audience and started chanting BS out there too. Like, I kind of like that about Kevin Owens' character because I've always called Kevin Owens a very pragmatic heel and a pragmatic character, this real person that exists in WWE's fictional universe, and he looks at those tag team matches as irrelevant as they actually are, and I think that's important. And you would think that would send a message to the powers that be in WWE, but it doesn't.
Yeah, but I'll be honest with you. After seeing his interactions with The Miz over the last couple weeks, I really want to see a Miz Owens match. I'm not gonna lie, like, those two just cannot stand each other. So it's like, and that's another thing I actually like, because you know how like when they have the tag team matches and it's always like the heel teams up with the heel just to take on the 2 baby faces, and the heels all of a sudden get along with each other. Not Miz and Owens, because 9 out of 10 times it's always the 2 heels that like each other. Just for the heck of it.
I'm not really sure what stepping off the apron, when The Miz and Stardust stepped off the apron to betray Kevin Owens, I'm not sure what it did for anybody here, because
Nothing.
Of course it didn't, because the only 2
I don't
people...
I don't understand why they didn't do it earlier.
Like, the only 2 people in this whole conglomerate that have any kind of identity are Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and the fact that they missed that boat in trying to give them a singles match, which, you know, we should have known that wasn't going to happen, but they missed that boat a long time ago, and now it's like you have 4 to 5 extra people that you don't need and don't have any identity. Like, there's no real sense of urgency for Owens to try and defend his title, because the only person that even really matters is Sami Zayn, and they're not even properly playing up the rivalry that Zayn and Kevin Owens had.
Yeah, but
I was just about to touch on that, because to be quite honest, Kevin or Sami Zayn doesn't even have
they haven't built him up.
Identity on the main roster. Like,
they haven't built him up right.
Just imagine, because it's cool for all of us because we watch NXT, but just imagine someone who has no idea who the hell El Generico is, has not watched the feud between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in NXT, and only what they've seen on the main roster from Sami Zayn, that's all they know of him. I'd be very interested to find out what their answer would be to the question of who is this guy. Because his only identity is he doesn't like Kevin Owens. That's it.
And there's been no time for him to speak on the microphone. There's been no time to actually try to build him up as an individual character. And, I mean, they could have done that. They had a golden golden opportunity at the Royal Rumble when him and Owens were going at it to start building that dynamic up for WrestleMania, and they could have made an excellent singles match. I find it funny that Zayn was the one to pin Owens in this 6-man tag, because it made me sit there and be like, wow, this is the finish that we all would have imagined maybe happening at WrestleMania, and instead we're getting it on Raw in the most boring 6-man tag ever, and it's not going to happen at all at WrestleMania because we're getting a recycled IC title ladder match that we had last year.
You know what? What's a good example that they could have done, Jay? I think you probably saw it on NXT last week when they did the whole vignette featuring American Alpha.
Oh.
Golden stuff.
Wonderful.
Golden stuff
Love
right
it.
there. That's the exact same thing they could have did with Sami Zayn, because as we've seen with what they did with the Shane McMahon packages, video packages and vignettes still have worked. They could have used that to also help build up Sami Zayn. You could have also featured Kevin Owens in that too, so they do have some value. I just don't know why they didn't try to use it to at least try to get away and actually have more of a reason to have a one-on-one match between Zayn and Owens at Mania.
Yeah, and what they're doing right now is basically leeching off of the feud between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn to provide life to this lifeless mess. It's kind of like doing CPR on a dead body. Shit, like no matter what work you do, it's gone. Like, call it. It's over. Call for the meat wagon, because this shit is dead on arrival. But yeah, anything else you guys want to talk about from Raw tonight?
Again, I'm trying.
The results of the show.
I'm trying to process all of what we saw tonight for the final sale for WrestleMania. Here's the thing. Let me ask you guys this question. Out of everything that we got out of Raw tonight, the final show before WrestleMania, did it help you get hyped for any of the undercard matches that's going to be happening?
Undercard? No.
Nope.
Nope.
That pretty much sums up tonight.
I'm not going to lie. The only match that I really feel hyped up for, more so than I did before, is Shane McMahon versus The Undertaker. Yep. The only one.
Mm-hmm. And I do want to touch on something, because this match that I'm about to talk about now, I refuse to let WWE ruin this one for me.
Oh, I know.
Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks versus Charlotte for the Divas Championship. This has not been, and this is something that I just have to come to terms with myself, because I'm used to watching all of these ladies in NXT and tearing the damn house down, being the best part of the show for me. In 2015, the women's division in NXT was the best part of the whole promotion for me. So it's very difficult for them, or nearly impossible, for them to move from NXT to the main roster and have the same level of importance here as they had there. And that's something that I'm struggling with. Like, the feud that they've had, it has not been bad, but like I said, I have a pattern of excellence that I expect from them, because I know they're that damn good to take it to even greater heights. What I've seen, it has not matched up with NXT Women's Revolution, but like I said, I refuse to let WWE ruin this one for me. You're not gonna ruin this one for me. I'm still excited about this.
Well, Jay, you know me. Like, I'm more excited about this match just as you are. But they've really missed. Either way, they've really missed the boat when it comes to this triple threat. Like, they had so much backstory that they could have used, and it's like, pretty much it's just been trash talking after trash talking. And I remember like watching SmackDown. Again, I'm the SmackDown guy. Like, it was Becky Lynch and I think it was Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks on commentary. They were just bickering the entire time, and they weren't even doing a good job. And they have to realize, yes, and Jay, I have to tell myself this sometimes too. It's like, yes, these girls, like, they are good. They are that damn good, but they were in NXT about a year ago. Like, these are not seasoned veterans, so they still have some stuff that they gotta learn. Like, some of the stuff that they could have like done, like, if they're not good like on the mic or even on commentary, why not just have a talent or like a writer just feed them the information so that way it doesn't come off so hokey? You know what I mean?
The thing is, I think these girls can definitely hold their own, all three of them. I mean, if you give them the opportunity to go out there and do what they can do, I think they can hold their own on a promo. I think they can hold their own when it comes to telling a story. I think it's WWE's main roster. It's almost like a disease that prevents them from being as good as they can be, because we've seen what they can do in NXT, and it is fucking amazing. It's arguably some of the best stuff in the world today. I mean, I don't care. It's awesome. And they could have made this the story of the NXT girls who have made it to the big time, who truly is the best of the three. You know, they could have made this one huge story, and instead it felt like it was just a bunch of back and forth of, oh, I get the upper hand this week, I get the upper hand this week.
We know they're good, but them looking weak on the main roster is typically not an example of them for a lack of trying in the ring. You know, they've got the talent, they've got the skills. It's usually, unfortunately, a lack of good booking. My main complaint with the Divas title match and the build-up leading up to the match as a whole is that my favorite out of all three of them is actually Becky Lynch, and she's looked kind of foolish and weak throughout most of this. You know, she had a wave of momentum at the beginning of the year and the tail end of last year that was building up.
Best babyface on the roster.
I think I was the only one in my section during that SmackDown taping that was cheering for Becky back then, and it started just coming my way. But, you know, Becky started gaining actual popularity and was doing well and looking strong, and then she got beat by Charlotte, and then she got beat tonight. You know, Sasha Banks actually had a victory over Charlotte, so there's legitimacy there. And if Becky had won, you could have an angle where Sasha and Becky are arguing over whose win was more legitimate, and it might have been a little catty, but it's something more to put in Becky's favor. But at this point, it looks like it's a foregone conclusion who's going to win.
We got a comment in the PWF Empire chat on YouTube. Navy Shadow, Jay, let's just hope they don't squeeze it between Shane versus Taker and the main event. I hope that they get a WrestleMania platform. And what I mean by a WrestleMania platform is an opportunity to go out there and shoot for the stars just as anyone else on the card would have. What happens with the Divas at WrestleMania over these last few years, they're just thrown out there just for the sake of being on the show. We had things like the tag team match last year. We had things like the Invitational where fucking Santina Marella won that one, and so many different celebrity appearances and things like that. They haven't been promoted on a level of seriousness. I hope from the perspective of the WWE creative team, the bookers, this is promoted on a level of seriousness, and you understand what could possibly happen if they have a good showing, if they have a good outing at WrestleMania. Like I'm hoping that they get the chance. Give them 10 minutes. Give 10, 15, I don't know. Like please find some time for them and give them the opportunity to go out there and shine, because damn it, they can.
They deserve it.
And it's not about and they deserve it. And I don't even like using that fucking word deserve, but I'm going to use it in this case. They deserve it, and I hope that they get that opportunity, because we've seen when they're given the opportunity, when they're given the platform, and when they're given the thumbs up, go out there, do your best. Damn it, they're stealing the show.
They will.
Stealing the show so much that I like towards the tail end of that women's revolution, shit, people kept talking about, oh, the Divas are still, women are stealing the show. They're not stealing the show. It was theirs. Like, they stole it so damn much that it's like, what's that old thing? Possession is 9/10 of the law. Shit, it's theirs. They've stolen it so damn much. It's theirs. They owned it. Like, that's what a platform and opportunity and confidence. That's what that does. And I'm just, oh my God, I'm crossing my fingers.
And also here's the thing: when it comes to like all three of those women, they got over. Not because of gender, but just because of pure raw talent.
Absolutely. 100%. And here's the thing. I mean, it's trending in the right direction if you're getting a triple threat match for the title, because most years, like you just said, Jay, you get the Invitational or 10 Diva match. I mean, we're still getting that many Diva match, but it's the kickoff. It's something like whatever. You're still getting a triple threat title match, and we haven't had too many like legitimately serious feuds, and this is a serious feud. I mean, I think the build-up hasn't been as bad as some of these other undercard matches. It still has been very underwhelming considering what they could be doing with it. But at least there's a feeling of seriousness to it, and it's actually like something's on the line. Like, oh my God, that in of itself is a nice thing to have. But yeah, they deserve the chance to tear the house down, given the opportunity to do that, and they have. They've deserved it, and they're all very talented.
Okay, we got a comment from Alex Polanco in the chat saying, J-Dub, for this year's WrestleMania, you have to wear a suit and record your reactions. I will actually be live at WrestleMania this year, my very first WrestleMania in the entire history going. I've been a wrestling fan for 17 years, never been to a WrestleMania, but that all changes this Sunday. And I will be wearing my Sasha Banks shirt. I've worn it on this show before. It's the one that's like basically her. It's not a logo or anything like that. It's actually her. So yeah, I'll be wearing that shirt at WrestleMania just to go even further and showing my support for this match. Any closing thoughts on this episode of Raw tonight and what you're thinking about WrestleMania? The road has come to an end.
I think the way that Raw kind of ended tonight pretty much sums up this entire build for WrestleMania as a whole. Like, this whole road to WrestleMania, more like a roadblock filled with a bunch of potholes. And we just had to find another detour just to get right back on the road. That's what this whole thing has felt like, because literally we've had a roadblock thrown into the mix. Like, we just had a whole bunch of confusion, not just everything. Like, isn't it like we knew some of the matches, but we didn't know like what they were trying to put together? Like Dean Ambrose versus Brock Lesnar, like that's something that they could have already had set in stone, already made, but instead they had to change it up because it was originally Lesnar versus Wyatt. So yeah, this whole road to WrestleMania has just been confusing.
I think the build-up for this card in general was hampered and hurt by the fact that, as Cass mentioned, Roadblock
the creative team sucks.
Well, yeah, there's the general. That's the control though. They've sucked for quite a while now. I think what makes this one special is that the Roadblock network exclusive that we saw was really closer to the card we would have wanted, and there was a whole lot of unwillingness throughout the card to pull the trigger on a lot of the feuds. Most of the undercard I'm uninterested in, and the only real two matches that I really want to see are Shane McMahon versus Taker and the Divas match. Beyond that, there's nothing that I think would be god-awful, but certainly not WrestleMania hype-worthy.
Most definitely, yeah. There's not a whole lot else to say. It is hard for me to process that WrestleMania is under a week away based off the build-up that we've had. I mean, this isn't a terrible card. It's the build-up and the promotion and the way to get to this card just hasn't been that great. I think a lot of these matches could turn out to be quite good, but I really don't think that the road has been anything but rocky and bumpy and not good at all. And there's been a lot of potholes along the way, and that's too bad because, again, like you have feuds here that could be good, or could be moved in a better and more effective direction. And instead, there was a lot of generic, there was a lot of it lacked innovation, lacked anything that felt different or stood out along the way. You get a lot of generic, regular stuff that we see for any other pay-per-view type of build-up. And this is where it's supposed to be above and beyond. This is WrestleMania. I mean, there is no other show like this at all. So to have build up this poor is very disappointing. Now, if the show is good, then that's fantastic. That's great. But you still have to look back and say the build up does matter. It does affect how you perceive and how you look into WrestleMania every year. And I mean, eventually, like, it's going to be harder and harder to sell tickets every year. Not that'll be a long-term thing, but you can't keep giving us this type of build up and expect people to be as interested in your product.
Oh, and I don't think that I said this earlier on in the show. The reason why we have 4 co-hosts on air right now is because Steven and Lucas, they were actually in the building for Monday Night Raw. Like, we usually do 2 separate shows, but I like having 3 people on air, so I didn't want to put us into a position where I, like, invited Dalton or Cass, and the other one was just left in the damn dust. So I was like, you know what? We'll bring them both on air, have a full house. I'm interested to see what Lucas and Steven thought about Raw tonight in the final show for WrestleMania. I know, I don't know if Steven saw the show or not, because I know Lucas went to watch the show. Steven went to get his check for that damage control he was doing last week. So, yeah. That was money well earned, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Jay, before we go,
you got some of your breaking news that you always have that's not really breaking news.
No, it is time. I'd be doing some of the post-Raw rundown, but it's time for the weekly SmackDown plug-in. If you really want to see Dean Ambrose do something crazy, if you want to see him beat the crap out of somebody, he will be taking on Eric Rowan this Thursday night on SmackDown. Tune in.
Oh, yeah, I gotta watch that. Yeah.
I'll be sure to catch it.
Eric Rowan, yeah.
I'll be watching.
The Rowan Dynasty will live.
It absolutely will.
God.
Evan, where is the Eric Rowan hype train?
Yeah, no, seriously, if you don't watch this episode of SmackDown with Eric Rowan, you don't deserve to see WrestleMania either. I mean, this is the build-up, the match that will make you love WrestleMania 32.
AJ Styles versus Heath Slater.
Oh,
wow, man.
I'm sold. Dude, take my money.
I'm watching it live. Like, I gotta do it.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, guys, I'm going to have a surprise for you later on in the week. Not going to tell you what it is. All of the viewers of PWF Empire Live, you will see later on. But, yeah, thank you guys for tuning in to this show. We will catch you later. We got a few more things coming for WrestleMania. Off the subject of WrestleMania, really quickly. Cass.
Yep.
Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Friday. Yes.
NXT
TakeOver.
NXT.
Some quick thoughts on that show. I'm quite sure you have some.
It's going to be great. My man, the king of strong style, Shinsuke Nakamura, will be debuting. And the greatest man that ever lived, Austin Aries, will be making his debut also against Baron Corbin. That should be great. And
American Alpha winning the
American Alpha
titles.
Yeah, that's gonna be great. Asuka will finally win the NXT Women's Championship.
See, I haven't even thought that far about that one to know what's gonna happen there. I like both of them so much that I can't make a prediction. I'm just gonna sit there and watch that one.
As far as Samoa Joe, he better win. Because if he doesn't win, then I don't know what the heck's going on with the NXT title.
Yeah, Samoa Joe versus Finn Balor for the NXT Championship.
That's actually one that I'm concerned about because the match wasn't as good as the first time that we saw it in London. So it's going to be interesting to see how are they going to try to do better in this one.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to NXT TakeOver. I could copy and paste that from every single TakeOver special because they're that damn good and they have a pattern of established excellence, and I'm hoping that pattern continues, and I don't have any reason to think that it won't on this show on Friday. And I'll be doing a review of that one as well, so make sure you guys are tuned in for that. Yeah, that's it for this episode of PWF Empire Live. We'll catch you on the flip side. Peace out.